There are no other options left. The Los Angeles Dodgers have quietly lost 2 more pieces off their roster, and their Game 2 lineup against the Padres tells its own story. But the real headline isn't the lineup card, it's what happened between Ohtani and Rushing before the first pitch was even thrown. What looked like a routine start turned into something that had the dugout on edge, and by the end of the night, it forced a real change in how the Dodgers are handling their ace. So what actually happened here, and why does it matter? Let's start with the roster. Will Smith, the Dodgers' primary catcher, has been sidelined since early June with a neck issue, and he's still not close. The team doesn't expect him back until after the All-Star break. Then there's Enrique Hernandez, another piece missing from the lineup while he works his way back. 2 established names, both out, right in the middle of a stretch where the Dodgers need every option they can get. And that's before you even get to the lineup itself, where Tommy Edmonds sits and Alex Freeland steps in at second. On paper it looks like a minor shuffle. In reality it's the Dodgers running out of clean solutions. What do you make of a lineup like this? Honestly, this is the kind of situation that looks fine from a distance but gets uncomfortable the closer you look. Losing 1 catcher is manageable. Losing 2 key pieces at once, in the middle of a playoff push, means the manager is no longer choosing his best option, he's choosing his least bad option. And that's exactly the spot Dave Roberts is in right now with Dalton Rushing catching Ohtani again. This is where it gets interesting, because Ohtani and Rushing had already been through something before this game. Back on June 24th against the Twins, their pairing hit a rough patch mid-game, rough enough that Ohtani stopped waiting on signals and started calling his own pitches. That's not a small thing. A pitcher taking over pitch calling from his own catcher, in real time, during a game, is about as clear a signal of friction as you'll see on a baseball field. And afterward, Roberts didn't just move on, he sat down with Rushing in the dugout for what's been described as a real conversation, not a pat on the back. What did you think when you heard about that? I thought it said everything about how seriously the Dodgers were taking this. You don't have your manager pull a young catcher aside for a heart-to-heart over one shaky outing unless something deeper is going on. Rushing himself admitted afterward that he'd been overthinking it, trying to be perfect with a pitcher like Ohtani instead of just trusting his stuff. That's a young catcher publicly owning a mental mistake. And when a battery has that kind of public friction, the next start together isn't just another game, it's a test. So that brings us to this game. Before it even started, there was pressure on both of them to show that June 24th wasn't a pattern. And for stretches, it actually looked like they'd fixed it. The 2 were seen syncing up early, a small tap of the glove between innings, the kind of quiet body language that suggested trust was building back. Ohtani got through the middle innings mixing his fastball and sweeper well enough to strike out hitters back-to-back late in the second. For a while, it looked like the story was going to be redemption, not rupture. But then came the moment that changed everything. In the 7th inning, with Ohtani still in the game, he was pulled for a pinch hitter, and it wasn't about pitch calling or command. It was his arm. Ohtani himself said afterward he'd felt concern in his biceps during his last at-bat, enough that the team pulled him as a precaution. That's the collapse people are talking about, not a dramatic breakdown on the mound, but a warning sign serious enough that the Dodgers didn't want to take any chances. What do you think that moment really means? I think it's bigger than one at-bat. Because right after that, Roberts didn't just rest Ohtani for a day, he announced Ohtani wouldn't even DH the next game. When a two-way player who almost never comes out of the lineup suddenly can't hit either, that's not standard rest. That's a team quietly protecting an asset they're worried about. And it puts every remaining start before the All-Star break in a different light. Roberts has already said he's not ruling anything out when it comes to Ohtani's next outing, which tells you the team itself doesn't fully know what they're dealing with yet. Now think about what this means for the pitching plan going forward. You've got a battery that just worked through real trust issues, finally starting to click, and then the moment it clicks, the guy on the mound has to be pulled early over arm concerns. That's the kind of situation that forces a manager's hand. Do you keep running Ohtani out on his normal schedule and risk making things worse? Or do you protect him now, even if it costs you innings in a tight division race? There's no easy answer, and that's exactly why. There are no other options left. Isn't just a dramatic headline, it's close to the truth of where the Dodgers are standing. From a competitive standpoint, this is where the margins get thin. The Dodgers are still sitting comfortably in first place, but comfort can disappear fast when your two-way star is dealing with a physical scare on top of a battery that only just found its rhythm. Every extra day of rest they give Ohtani is a day they're not getting his bat or his arm at full strength. Every start they push forward is a risk if the biceps issue isn't fully resolved. This is the tightrope elite teams walk in the middle of a long season. You can't afford to lose your best player, but you also can't afford to play it so safe that you fall behind in the race. And that's really the story here. It's not just about one shaky inning or one lineup change. It's about a team that lost two reliable pieces, leaned on a catcher who was still rebuilding trust with his ace, and then got hit with a physical scare at the exact moment things looked like they were turning around. The Dodgers didn't panic. They adjusted, resting Ohtani's bat, staying vague about his next start, and giving Rushing another chance to prove June 24th was the exception, not the rule. Whether that caution pays off will depend on what the next few weeks look like. But right now, every decision the Dodgers are making says the same thing. They know exactly how much they have riding on Ohtani staying healthy, and they're not willing to gamble with it. What do you think? Should the Dodgers be more cautious with Ohtani's workload, or is this exactly the kind of moment where you need your ace to push through? Let me know in the comments below.